Hello all, good morning. So in the previous session we have seen how to create program and implement the select statements to read the data from database tables into application program. We keep the data in data objects like variable, work area and internal table, right? So we have select single statement which we use to select only one single record into work area or variable, and we have select which we use to select one or more records from database table into internal table, right? To select all the fields of each record, we use star, right? And if you don't want to select all the fields, we want only selected fields of the record, then we use a type structure. We create a type structure with required fields and we define the work area or internal table with reference to the type structure. This is the old ABAP syntax which works on ECC system. So we have new ABAP syntax where you don't need to create a type structure. So you can use inline declarations. First, let's see one example on each of these select statements, and I'll also show you how can we implement this in using new ABAP syntaxes. Before writing any select statement, let's choose a table with some data so that we can apply different filters on the table data to display the output. As a basic example, we'll take ZDemo employee as example. We have around 5 records in this table. What is the primary key? Employee ID is the primary key of this table, right? So all the records will be maintained by employee ID. And why we are using this MA and DT? To make this table as a client dependent table. What type of table? Client
Client
dependent
dependent
table.
table.
So whatever the data we created in this client, in which client we are in? Client number 800. System is same. If you take system is A4H, that is 2021 server. We'll be having different clients. Client is a logical partitioning. Client is a logical partition of the system. We can partition the system using client number so that we can maintain separate data, right? We can maintain separate data for the separate client. I'll tell you one simple example. If you take any organization, for example, take Tata Group. There will be many companies under the Tata Group, right? If let's assume they want to use one single ERP system for the entire group, right? And for different companies which have maybe some similar business, but they don't want to maintain common data for all the companies, right? So they want to maintain data individually for each company, right? Group is same. They wanted to maintain data individually for each company so that other company employees cannot access the current company's data. Okay, company A data cannot be accessed by company B. We have to restrict that. So how can we restrict that? By using client dependent data. So uh, we can restrict the data by using client dependent data by using MANDT field in the table. Let's say we want to share some common data between all the companies. There is some common data which we can share throughout the all the group companies. Then we can maintain that data as what type of data? Client independent data. So that we don't use MANDT field in the tables. So all the other clients can also access that same data. Okay, all the other clients can also access that same data, right? That common data whatever required, right? So to make the table as client independent table or client dependent table, we use MANDT. If you want to make the table as client dependent table, we use MANDT field as the first field of the table, and that should be a primary key, right? And don't consider it as a business primary key, just consider it as some technical field. Okay, in your select statements, don't consider MANDT as a field, okay, as a primary key field or any table field. Okay, now let's create one select statement. Sorry, let me create a program using select single. Create the program. Select the type of the program as executable program. Save the program in local package. So this program is example for select single, right? That means like we will try to select only one record from the database table. So observe the table. How can you get that exact record here in this table? If you provide city as input, is it case sensitive? Looks like city is case sensitive. We have entered the value. Okay, in camel case. So if you want to read the table data by using city, can we get the single record? Can we get the exact single record? No, right? There might be a possibility of having multiple records with the same city. Even if you take date of join, there will be multiple records with date of join, right? So if you need to get that exact record, what we need to do? We need to pass all the primary key fields of the table. So in this example, we have only one primary key, that is employee ID. Okay, let's assume we'll take that employee ID as a parameter. What is the type of this? Whatever the data element available in the database table. Okay, selection screen is completed. Now let's test the selection screen. Always remember, don't write all the statements at once, right? Make it as a step-by-step process. First complete the selection screen, activate the selection text, test the selection screen. So your selection screen is working. We can see parameter. Next step, select the data. Before selecting the data, how many fields you want in that record? Do you want all the 5 fields data or only selected fields? If you want all 5 fields, define a work area using data statement, type, so complete table reference. Okay, because you want to select one single record with all the fields, right? How to write the select statement? Select single star from database table name into work area name. Where empid, what is the table field name? empid only, right? Yeah, empid equal to whatever the input entered by the user. Okay, you can also provide the hard coded value here instead of parameter. You can also pass variable or some hard coded value like this as a input. Or if you have any data in a different work area, right? For example, there is a different work area where you have the value. You can pass the input for the select statement like this. WA underscore data hyphen emp id. You can also pass where condition like this. Okay, different possibilities. Okay, in our case we have a parameter, passing the parameter. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0. So what does this mean? Sub rc equal to 0 means the select statement is executed successfully. Okay, the select statement is executed successfully. Okay, then display the output, or you can implement any other functionality, not only displaying the output. Depends on the requirement, we use the data for the different conditions. Okay, for different functionalities. For example, to display the output, we use wa underscore emp data. If you have any numerical fields, it will not display the output using write statement. You need to use a work area name hyphen individual field names. So test the program. Always keep a breakpoint to test your program so that you can understand the flow of the program. Execute, selection screen is displayed. Enter the input. Execute the program. So kept the breakpoint at select statement. Go to desktop 3, F5. Press F5, sub r equal to 0. That means one record is selected into work area successfully. One record is selected. Sub r equal to 0. That means select statement is successful. Then display the output. Okay. Is everyone clear? So once you selected the data, you are selecting all the fields of the table, but you want to display only selected fields, right? Then in write statement, you can now manipulate that. Okay. You are selecting all the data, you are selecting all the fields data, but displaying only two fields. Okay. So in this case, since you need only two fields in your output, is it really required to select all the fields using select single star? Because you are using only two fields data, you are not using rest of the fields. What is the recommended approach? To select only select required data, because it will take more time to execute. If you are if you are using select single star, it is trying to select all the fields, but you are using only two fields, right? Okay. Now what is the alternative we have to select only selected entries? We use type structures. Select the data element, or if you don't have a suitable data element, take data type and length manually, and city only, right? Take fields in the same sequence, first field in the first place, next field in the next place. Okay, city data element for t01 underscore gp, end of ty underscore emp data. Now instead of database table reference, define your work area with the type structure reference. Now do we need to change the select statement or not? Check the syntax. The work area emp data is not long enough because we have defined the work area with only two fields but trying to select all the fields. Okay. Now instead of selecting all the fields, remove the star and emp id space city. Okay. Check the syntax, activate the program. Now You are selecting only those two fields for a single record with two fields. Okay, let me keep a breakpoint. F5, check the work area. Now we have only two fields, single record with two fields, right? Display the output. This is how we select records with required fields using type structure. Is everyone clear? What is mandatory here? We need to pass all primary key field values. So how many primary keys we have in this table? In the ZDemo employee, we have only one primary key. So that we are passing that primary key here. If you have multiple, you need to pass all multiple primary key values. That is recommended. Okay. It is always recommended to select only required fields. Don't select all the fields using star. Okay. Unless until you need all the fields data. Okay. Is everyone clear? So let's see how can we achieve the same functionality using a new ABAP syntax. Okay. So we'll see how to create the same functionality of selecting a single record using new ABAP syntaxes. Okay. I'll give one additional name as NW. Okay. Create the program. So what is our requirement? We need to select a single record, right? From ZDemo employee table using employee ID as input. Parameter is common. Type. So the data element of the employee ID. Now let's first see how to select the complete record. So, right, with all the fields. Here, you don't need to define a work area. You don't need to define a work area separately. Okay, you can define it in the select statement itself. So by using new ABAP syntax, you don't need to define a work area. Okay, so you can define work area in the select statement itself. How to write select statement using new ABAP syntax to achieve the same functionality? Select single. Let's assume we need all the fields. Okay, all the fields of the table. Select single star from ZDemo employee table, the database table, into, observe here carefully, into what we need to write here. Usually you need to provide the work area, right? But we did not define the work area. We need to define work area in the select statement itself. How can you define it? Using a data statement. It is not case sensitive, right? You can type in lowercase also. So using data of work area name. Okay, provide the work area name. Okay, and where, what is the where condition? Database field name equal to what we need to pass here? What we need to pass here as input?
Parameter.
Parameter, because user will enter the parameter value and the same parameter value we will pass it to the select statement. There is one difference you need to observe. So we are not defining the work areas separately. We are defining it in the select statement itself. For that, what we need to use? Data statement. In between the data, before the data statement, we need to use one special symbol, that is at the date symbol. Okay, we call it as escape sign. Okay, we call it as escape sign. Okay, we need to use this before data statement, and whatever the parameters you are passing in the where condition, you need to pass it before the parameter name or variable name or work area name. Okay, these are called escape signs. These are mandatory for new ABAP syntax. Okay, okay, so you need to use this escape symbol. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, and if, right, okay, activate activate the program. Taking time to activate. It's taking time to activate. So by using new ABAP syntax, you don't need to define a work area separately. It is same for internal table and variable also. You don't need to define it separately. Okay, you can define it in the select statement itself. Looks like more users are actively using the same server. That's why there is some load on the server. It's taking time to activate. It is active now. Let's test the program. I think I did not create the text elements. Selection text, activate it. Go back and execute the program. The output is same, right? So when we want all the fields and single record, okay? But what if we need only selected fields? I don't want all the fields of the table. I want only selected fields. Do we need to create a type structure when we are using new ABAP syntax? No, it is not required. Type structure is not required. And simply mention the fields here. What are the fields you want to select from the database table into application level? EMP comma, city. What is the difference between old ABAP select statement and new ABAP syntax select statement? You need to use comma in between each field name. Whatever the fields you are selecting, use a comma between each field name. That is mandatory, and you need to use this escape symbol, okay, to define the work area. Is everyone clear? To define the work area, you need to use this escape symbol. That's it. No other differences. Activate the program. If you want to select only required fields. In the old ABAP syntax, what you need to do? You need to first create a type structure, and then you need to define a data object, work area, or internal table, and then you need to write a select statement. Here, you don't need to define a type structure, and you don't need to define the data object separately. Execute the program. Okay. Employee ID and city, two fields. Okay. This is how you can use new ABAP syntax to select only required fields. Is everyone clear? And difference between old ABAP syntax and new ABAP syntax. You need to be clear on both old ABAP syntax and new ABAP syntax. Okay. Because in some support projects, they are still using ECC system where new ABAP syntax are not going to work. You need to use only old ABAP syntaxes. Okay. But in new projects, new implementations, always recommended to use new ABAP syntaxes. Okay. Now, is everyone clear about select single? Now let's create a program to select data into internal table. That means more than one record. Create one new program. Executable program. Save it into a local package. Now what is our requirement? We are trying to select more than one record, one or more record from the database table. Let's say in which scenario we may get more than one record, when we are trying to select data by any of these non-primary key fields, right? So when we need to select data by any of these non-primary key fields, then there is a chance of reading one or more records, right? For example, if I want to select records, right, whose name is Raju, right? There might be multiple employees with same name. We are going to select multiple records with the same name, right? And if you take phone number, there is very less chances of having same phone number for multiple employees. But since it's a non-primary key field, there is a possibility of getting more than one record for each value, right? If you take city as a selection criteria, right? If you select data by city, right, where employees are from Hyderabad city, there is a possibility of getting multiple records, right? Multiple employees might be working from same city, Hyderabad or Chennai. There is a possibility, right? In that case also you are going to get multiple records. If you select the records by date of join, right, there is a possibility that multiple employees joined on the same day, right? Here also we'll get one or more records, right? How to write select statement in this scenario when we need to select data by non-primary key fields, when you need to select data by city, date of join, right? So what is the suitable data object? Internal table. First define a parameter. Let's select by city. Okay, city type, what is that? ORT01 underscore GP, I think. ORT01 underscore GP is the data element for city. Test the selection screen. First test your selection screen, is it working properly or not? Selection text, city name, Okay. Now write the select statement to select one or more record. What is the prerequisite? Let's create this in the old ABAP syntax first. What is the prerequisite? Internal table is necessary, right? How to define internal table? Data, for example, LT underscore EMP data, and you can assign any name, but give some meaningful name. Okay. You can also give WA underscore. Still, it's an internal table. Even if you give WA, right? If you give WA, that doesn't mean that it's going to create a work area, right? This name doesn't matter. Only syntax defines what type of data object it is. Type standard table of or table of, both are same. You can also use standard table of. It won't maintain any default sort order. It will maintain records in a data insertion order. Okay. How you inserted the records, it will maintain the same order. It won't sort the records by any key, any field. Okay. So I have defined a internal table with reference to the complete database table. With reference to the complete database table. Now, this internal table contains same fields which are available in the database table. Okay. In this case, we are trying to select one or more records with all the fields of the table. With all the fields of the table. How to write a select statement? Select. Are we trying to select single record or one or more records? There is a possibility of selecting one or more records, right? Multiple records, right? What is the select statement we need to use? Select single or select?
Select.
Select star means all the fields from employee name, database table name into table. This is mandatory for internal table. Into table LT underscore EMP data. Where? What is the where condition? City equal to P underscore city. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, and if select statement is successful, then display the output. How can you display the internal table output? Using write statement. Can we directly use the internal table name in write statement?
No.
No, we
No.
need to use a loop statement. Loop
Loop.
loop at internal table name into work area. Did you define any work area?
No.
No, we need to define it before using it. Otherwise, it will give you a syntax error. Let's define a work area as well with the same type as internal table. Okay. WA underscore EMP data type database table name. Okay. In between the loop and end loop, display the output. Okay.
Table name
Oh, ZDemo
employee.
EMPLOY.
Why missing?
Yeah.
Why missing?
Yes. I'll use backslash for the right statement so that every record will print in a new line. This is case sensitive, right? Please make sure you enter the value same as a database table. Okay. If you pass uppercase values or lowercase values, it won't consider that as a valid value. Execute. So there are two records, right? There are two employees. So which are from Hyderabad, city Hyderabad. Now we have selected all the 5 fields. Okay. Now if we need to select only required fields, what we need to do using new ABAP old ABAP syntax, first to define a type structure, types begin of data. Do we need to take same field names as database table here in the type structure? Is it mandatory to take same field name, just like whatever the field name we have in the table? Do we need to take same field name here, or we can also take different field names? Let's try that. So instead of taking EMPID, I'll take that EMPLOYE. Okay, but data element is same. Please observe. I'm taking different field name, not like in the database table. I'm taking a different field name, but the same reference data element I am taking here. And the next field I want is city. Here I am using city as a field name, but here I'll take city underscore name and the corresponding data element. These two fields I want to select from the database table. Now change the data declarations. Instead of complete database table reference, we use a type structure for the internal table declaration as well as a work area declaration. For both, I've changed the data declaration from database table reference to type structure reference. Now, the select statement, mention only the fields which you want to select. Which field names we need to take in the select statement? The fields which we mentioned in the type structure or the fields which we are using in the database table. Let's try to use fields which we use in the type structure in the select statement. Employee, comma, city name. Are these fields available in the table?
No.
Employee and city name. Field names are different. We have data is available for employee ID and city, but field names are different. Let's check. It will allow you to use different field names or not. Check the syntax. What it is saying? It is saying there is no field in the database table with the field name called employee, right? When you are using these field names in the select statements, it won't accept. Otherwise, in general, you can take a type structure with different names. Okay, but when you are using these field names in the select statement, it won't accept. Okay, let me use regular field names, whether it will accept or it will place data in the type structure fields or not. I've changed the field names to employee ID and city. But I've kept these field names as it is. I'm not changing this. I'm not changing this. Type structure fields I'm not changing. I kept as it is, employee ID and city name. But I have changed the field names only in the select statement as per the database table. Okay. Now check the syntax. Is it throwing any error? No, it is not throwing any error. For this, the order is important. The order of the fields is important. Field, it won't compare the field names. Okay, it won't compare the field names when it is placing data into internal table or work area. It will compare the order, which one is the first field, which one is the second field, and it will compare the data type. What is the type of the employee ID? What is the type of the city? If they are compatible or not. Okay, it won't compare by employee name, field names. It will compare by the order of the fields and the data type. Okay, let's test the program. Keep a breakpoint here. F5. Subars is 0. That is select statement is successful. How many records are there in the internal table? 2 records with 2 columns. 2 records with 2 fields. Okay, double click. we are able to select two records, and each record contains two fields. Okay, but the field names in the internal table are employee and city name, but the database table field names are EMPID and city. Okay, that, so what did you understand here? The field names are not important between type structure and the select statement. The order of the fields are important. Okay, but it is always recommended use same field names. Okay, just like table names. In some projects, right? In recent projects, in S4 HANA implementation projects, right? The recommendation is in many projects they are recommended to use general field names, not the technical field names. We have a concept of alias name. We have a concept of alias name. We can change the field name which we selected from the database table. So they are recommended to use general field names, not the technical field names in the programs. Just like this employee, city name, not like EMPID, ORT01 like that. Okay, general field names. Right. So we are able to select multiple records with two columns, two fields. Okay, this is how we implement the select statements using old ABAP syntax. Let's create a program to check a new ABAP syntax for the same requirement. I'm creating a separate program. You can please make a note of these programs for your reference. Okay, the same functionality we'll try to achieve using a new ABAP syntax. Parameter is same. Okay, maintain the selection text. We need to activate before it is available for the selection text. Okay, now do we need to define internal table separately for the new ABAP syntax? No need. Select. What is your requirement? Selecting all the fields or only required fields? First select all the fields. Select star from ZDemo into table. Did we define the internal table? No, right? We have to define now. How to define an internal table in the select statement using new ABAP syntax. At the data of LT underscore EMP data, where city equal to, we need to use escape sign using P underscore city. Okay, if sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, and if. This is how we write select statement using new ABAP syntax to define the internal table. So by using this syntax, it will automatically define internal table, because you are using table here, right? It will automatically identify, so, and it will define this as a internal table, right? Even if you use WA here, what type of object it will be? It's not going to be a work area. It will be a internal table. Name doesn't matter here. Okay. So depends on the syntax, it will create the object. But we use names to follow some naming conventions. Okay. Now to display the output, loop the internal table, record by record, loop it, sorry, loop at lt underscore, what is the internal table name, emp data into what, work area, right?
Yes, okay.
Did we define the work area?
We need to.
No, we did not define the work area. How can we define work area in the loop statement itself? Here also we can apply inline declarations using data of wa underscore emp data. It will automatically define work area with reference to this internal table structure, right? It will create a work area with reference to this internal table structure, same fields, right? End loop, right? Okay, this is how we can define work area in the loop statement using data statement. Okay, using data statement. So in the select statement you need to use this escape sign. That is the additional syntax you need to follow. But when you are defining the work area in the loop statement, you don't need to use that escape sign. Okay, check the syntax, activate the work, program. Did I maintain the selection text? Yes, I did. Just execute the program. So we got two records where city equal to Hyderabad, right? So we did not define the internal table and we did not define the work area separately using data statement. So we are using inline declarations using data statement in the loop and in the select statement to define the work area and internal table. Now, now let's assume we don't need to select all the fields. I want to select only required fields. What we need to do? emp id, comma, city. That's it. You don't need to do anything. Just mention the fields, whatever you need to select using comma. Okay, it will automatically define the internal table with these two fields and it will display the output. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to define any internal table or work area by using a type structure. Test the program. So we are able to select two records with only those two fields, employee ID and city. Let me keep a breakpoint here. Double click. The internal table is defined with only two fields as per the select statement syntax. F5. What are the field names it is using? Whatever the fields we mentioned in the select statement, EMPID and city, technical field names, whatever available in the database table, we have mentioned in the select statement. It is defined the internal table with only those field names. Let's assume we need to change the name of the fields, right? We need to change the field names, right? For readable names, easy readable names, right? Instead of technical names, we can use alias names. How can you use alias names? Using as employee underscore id, some name, okay, some meaningful name. City as city underscore name. Okay, you can change the names when you are declaring, when you are defining the internal table or work area. You can change the field names using alias names. What do we call this? Alias name. This is not the actual technical name, okay, but this is just a alias name of that technical field name. Okay, now observe. So what is the, how the internal table will be defined? With the actual technical field names or alias names?
Alias names.
Double click on the internal table. Check the field names of the internal table. It is using alias names. Define the internal table with alias names, not the technical field names. Okay. If you want to change the database table field names in your program level, right? When you are defining the work area or internal table, you can use alias names. In few projects, they recommend to use like this, right? They recommend you to take alias names and mention easy readable names. Okay, instead of taking technical field names. Okay, in this case, you can use alias names. Okay, this is how we can use select statements. Select single and select. In the next session, we'll see more examples on the select statement by selecting data from standard tables. No difference. Table is a table, that's it. That might be a standard table or custom table. Only thing you need to check is what is the field name, what is the where condition you need to write. That's it. Writing select statements on any table is same. Only thing is you need to understand the requirement. What are the records you want to select, right? Is everyone clear? So instead of this loop statement, right, just to display the output, we have an alternative CL underscore demo underscore output arrow display LT underscore EMP data. This is just to display the output. Please remember, this is just to display the output. This comes under object-oriented ABAP concept, class methods concept. For now, you can remember the syntax just to display the output instead of writing loop statement. It will automatically display the output from internal table, work area, or variable. You just mention the internal table or work area or variable here. Okay. So it will automatically display the output. Just execute this. So you can avoid the loop statement here. Okay, you can avoid the loop statement here. It will display the output like this in a tabular format. If it is an internal table, you can also use work area. Replace, if you are using work area, replace this internal table with work area name or variable name. Okay, depends on your requirement. This is just to display the output. For now, just remember this syntax to display the output. Okay, instead of writing loop statement and all. Okay, so the next session will cover more advanced concepts on select statements like joins and for all entries. For now, please practice.